GTI. The first time those three letters were put in that exact order, they were on the nose of a Volkswagen Golf. And now 50 years later, the GTI letters are on a Golf right here in India. Now we are familiar with the GTI badge in India, the Polo GTI. It did come to India a few years ago. Obviously, it's not as iconic as the Golf GTI, but it's in the same vein. And the big changes from standard car to GTI are twofold. Number one, the engine. Number two, the chassis. This is where the specialness really starts. Under the hood is a 2-litre 4-cylinder TSI engine. Outputs are really impressive. 261 bhp, 370 Nm of torque. But more than the specs, what's special is how this car drives. Let's start with launch control. Foot on the brake, floor the gas, launch control program active. Let's go! Little bit of wheel squeal in second as well, and then it just fires itself. We're already doing over 130. It's incredible how fast this car is, and it feels enthusiastic. You've got this engine that wants to put down all of that power. It's got solid grunt. You know the specs already, but the way it puts down its power, it's punchy, it's aggressive, it loves to rev. It feels so smooth, revving all the way to the red line, and it sounds so good as well. In sport mode, you've got this lovely deep growl. I don't know if the mic is picking it up, but it's really nice and bassy. Of course, a lot of it is piped in through the cabin. There's actually a setting in here for how much engine sound you want inside the cabin. So it's not the most realistic, but it sounds really nice. And there are little pops and bangs on the overrun, which is really cool. Power delivery, so creamy, smooth. This is a 4-cylinder, but it's so smooth in the way that it delivers its power. It loves to rev. The mid-range is really strong on this TSI motor, and it doesn't seem to run out of breath. We're on the high-speed track, 160 kilometers an hour. I put my foot down, and there's a little bit of shove that pushes me into the seat back and thrusts the car forward. You know, there's so much performance on tap. You can never get tired of this. And this is not a ridiculous performance which you can't really exploit. It's the right level of performance. I think 260 horsepower on Indian roads is plenty. You will never really be needing more than that in road conditions. Of course, you've got paddle shifters as well. This engine comes mated to a DSG. No big chonky lever anymore. You've got this little twiddly shifter, shift by wire. You do have paddle shifters to make up for it. You can downshift and just let that motor sing. Out on the high-speed track, it'll top out at 267 indicated on the speedo. The claimed top speed is 250. I think it'll do about a real true top speed of 250, 255. But yeah, it's a really quick car. And that engine is so much a part of it. There's so much character, there's so much grunt. This is the most powerful version of the Golf GTI. Not talking about Golf R or Club Sport, the standard GTI. The 8.5 is the most powerful it has ever been. And you can really feel that from behind the wheel. And the beauty about this engine is you put it into comfort mode and you just tickle the throttle, and if you're driving around town, driving in the city, it's quiet, it's smooth, it's comfortable, it's not so aggressive. There is still a slight growl in the background to let you know that you're driving something a little bit naughty, but that's about it, which I absolutely love. You know, it's so understated in comfort mode, and then you put it into sport and it wakes right up again and you're ready to go. But the engine is just a part of the GTI jigsaw puzzle. The other piece is the handling, which is why we stepped off the high-speed track and onto the dry handling track at NATRAX to give the GTI a good thrashing. This is what the Golf GTI was designed for. Corners. It may be a straight line pocket rocket, but it really comes alive when you show it some bends. Now this chassis is obviously firmed up compared to a standard road car. It's quite firm in terms of its ride quality. Not that we've got to test its ride quality properly, we've just got an impression over some of the curbs over here on the road. But what that firming up means is that you get really good dynamics. Now this is a front wheel driven car, but you can still lean on that front end. You know, you chuck it into a corner, the steering feels very direct. You can really throw it in at speed, stay a little bit on the brakes, let the weight transfer to the front and use that weight and that grip at the front end to chuck it into bends. You know, the nose tucks in very quickly and it has so much grip. You'd think at the speeds you're doing around corners that it would start understeering, but there's no hint of understeer at these speeds. And we're not driving slowly. This is relatively quick driving. There's really nice balance. The car feels very friendly. You can feel what's going on in all four corners, where the grip levels are, where the weight is. It's not race car stiff, so there is a little bit of motion in terms of roll, but that roll is very tidy, very controlled, and it's more to give you a sense of where the weight on the car is when it pitches, when it rolls. You can just sense exactly what the car is doing, where the weight is, where the grip is, and then how to drive it. You can ask so much from the front end, it's really surprising. And it just gives and it gives and it gives. It's really good at controlling mid-corner bumps as well. When your car is laterally loaded up, it can absorb bumps relatively well, which means that the suspension isn't overly stiff. You know, it's not like it's getting knocked out of composure. It's not like it's skipping over bumps. It just takes them, absorbs them in its stride, and it feels very composed. This feels like a fast road car, which it is. Now this car doesn't have DCC, dynamic chassis control, which is what the Tiguan gets, but this car does have an LSD, a limited slip differential, and what that means is you can really be greedy with the throttle when you're exiting bends. Normally, front wheel drive car, you have limited traction at the front end. If you've got lateral loads through the front end, you have to really feather the throttle until you've eased off those lateral loads to get back on the gas. But with an LSD, you can start getting on the gas much earlier, because what the LSD does is it ensures that your drive is going through the loaded wheel and not the unloaded wheel, and that means you are being driven forward. In fact, the LSD on the Golf is actually configurable. You can go into the menu and set it up for comfort and sport basically ensures that more torque is sent to the outside wheel, and it lets you put down more torque into the road and get more forward propulsion through the corners, which is unreal. But the more I drive it, the more I can't help but smile, because the poise, the balance, the way it reacts to steering inputs, you know, it's just light inputs on the steering and it feels so darty and nimble. This is not a very heavy car, and we've gotten so used to driving these big, heavy, athletic SUVs that when you get into a small, tiny hot hatch, it's so refreshing, because nothing beats low weight. You literally need two fingers to just pop the car in. It gets loaded up, it corners hard, and then onto the other side. Tap the brakes to get the nose in. Back on the gas, and we're off. What fun. It's this composure that makes the GTI special. You've got the engine and you've got the dynamics. You're not compromising in any department. And that combination is what delivers the thrill of driving. If you had a great engine and soggy dynamics, no fun. Who's going to have fun there? If you have great dynamics and a weedy engine, no fun either. Which is why GTI exists. GTI exists to deliver a great chassis and a great engine. And that's what this car does. So obviously the Golf GTI is a brilliant car to drive, but let's get down to brass tacks. Do you know what GTI even stands for? Grand Touring Injection. Back when the Mark I Golf GTI debuted, it also debuted a direct injection petrol engine, which is why the letters GTI, with I standing for injection. Now this Mark 8.5 GTI is a direct descendant of that Mark I GTI, and the engine, the TSI technology, is effectively the most modern interpretation of that direct injection technology back from the 70s. GTI. It still holds true even in this day and age. With such a rich legacy, the Golf GTI is also going to look very special. It draws on its heritage with a lot of styling tweaks on the front. Now this is obviously based on the standard Golf, which we don't get in India, but you do get this red stripe, which is unique to the GTI variants, and you get the GTI badge on the nose. You also get these really aggressive bumpers and very cool looking fog lamps at the bottom. Now from the side, you'll really notice the one big change from the older GTI that was sold in India, and that is rear doors. The Polo GTI was a two-door. This is a proper four-door, which means it's a lot more practical. It's also a lot bigger. This car is 4.28 meters long, which is actually pushing it close to the Creta size in terms of its overall length. On the side, you get more GTI badges, which is always welcome. 18-inch wheels with low-profile rubber gives it a really nice stance. The ground clearance, it does seem a little low, but I haven't driven it on the road, so I won't be able to comment on how good or bad it is in our conditions. Red brake calipers are always welcome as well. And from the rear, you get these really sharp-looking tail lamps, the GTI badge in the center, and nice twin tailpipes at the bottom. It really looks very good on the road, nice and low, great stance, typically Volkswagen in terms of its design, and unmistakable for anything else on the road. Step inside the Golf GTI and those little touches from the outside are carried over on the inside as well. You've got the GTI badge on the steering wheel and on the seat backs. The steering wheel itself is familiar, very similar to what you get on the Virtus, but you've got these red accents on it and red stitching. The dashboard, very nicely done. You've got a big screen for your cluster. You've got an even bigger screen for your infotainment system. Down below that, you've got these little touch buttons for certain functions for quick access, your wireless phone charger, stubby gear stick, and cup holders. In terms of materials used, not too bad. This finish is quite nice. It's a little plasticky, but it's not too bad, and you've got soft touch all over. You do have some hard touch bits like this scratchy plastic over here, but you need to understand that the Golf is a global massy car, and this is fundamentally based on that. What's my favorite touch on the inside? The seats. They may be fabric, no leather here, but you get a tartan finish, and that is so cool, so iconic, and what a lovely throwback to the original GTIs. Prices for the Golf GTI haven't been announced at the time of shooting this video, but my guess is they're going to be priced between 50 and 55 lakh rupees ex-showroom. At that price, this Golf GTI is a little expensive, but you need to remember, A, it is a CBU, and B, it is a global icon that is now in India. It also happens to be an incredibly versatile machine. It has the handling chops, it has the performance, it has the comfort, it has the space and features on the inside. It's really got everything going for it. So whether it's going to be your only car, or it's going to be your second, third, fourth city runabout car, or your weekend blast car, the Golf GTI can do it all, and that is where the beauty of this car is. Now, the good news for Volkswagen and the bad news for enthusiasts is that all first batch cars of the Golf GTI have already been booked. They've already been spoken for. The enthusiast community has come out strong and put down their hard-earned money for the Golf GTI. What I can tell you is that if you are one of the lucky guys who have gotten an allocation for the GTI, you're going to have an incredible machine in your garage very, very soon.